Hello all, Old Geek, looking at another Dragon magazine. This is volume 3, number 3 from August 1978. Still costing $1.50. They've gone with a bright, almost garish cover here, but even though I don't think the image is as good a quality as the last one, this one makes it leap off the shelf somewhat. Especially the lady on the right. Yes, lady. The helmet on the left. Is that an early version of Warduke? Looks very Warduke-ish. With those red eyes and big sort of bat wings. Don't know. Let's see what's in. And this green bit at the bottom. Are we going to be looking at something quite superhero-ish here? Dog decides to move. She's been quiet all morning. Hopefully there shouldn't be any interruptions from outside today. There's no building work going on up the road. There's just the odd car going past. Anyway, I like this cover. I don't know who the artist is. I'm not certain. It reminds me of a Sutherland style, but I don't see a DCS signature. Might not be Sutherland, but it's not a bad cover. Okay, it's not artistically superb, but covers are supposed to sell, and I think this cover will sell, or would sell, because it's 45 years ago. Right, let's go scrolling through more poor quality Relpatha adverts. Yeah, you get a good spot in every one, and you make good miniatures, but your adverts really do. Gen Con advert, Kenosha, Wisconsin, August 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th. 4 days. Guess Thursday sort of setting up, but that's big. $10 to get in. Alright, oh no, Thursday 9 a.m. to midnight, Friday 9 a.m. to midnight, Saturday 7:30 a.m. to midnight, Sunday 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's a marathon. Absolute marathon. Lots of people living on chocolate and very sweet drinks. I hope people had a shower during those 4 days. Could smell a little ripe. Okay, let's see what we got in here. Contents. Vampires in the dungeon. A real heavy. Faceless men and clockwork monsters. Mixing D&D with MA. Metamorphosis Alpha. I don't like mixing genres. Tesseracts. Driving D&D mappers wild. Jousting in D&D. A wizard with a different specialised NPC. Sights and sounds. Magic Munchkins. The Scholar and the Cast-Chen. Bizarre beasties. Monk and Bard in the dungeon. 2 new players. Short history of Adamanite. Adamanite? Adamantite? Don't know. Angels in D&D, natural armour in monsters. Okay, it's quite a variety there. Ogre, boredom in the average D&D dungeon. Warp War, is that a new Dragon Mirth thing? Okay. Right, reviews of Dragonlord. The Dragon is proud to welcome a new cartoonist to our pages, Will McLean. He's provided a number of amusing cartoons which will undoubtedly be popping up in future issues. We hope he sends us more. You may have noticed this is the biggest The Dragon ever that doesn't contain a game or insert of some sort. Looks like 36 pages according to this. Where were we? We hope to keep it at least this size and hope to add more pages in the fall. There's one major stumbling block, however, that could easily prevent that. More pages use more material. The simple addition of more pages, even though one or more are sold to advertisers, means we consume that much more material. At this moment, the Dragon is hurting for good quality material. All of you writers that have been stalling around had better get hot soon, especially those that are late on promised pieces. Tim cracking the whip. As you peruse the table of contents, you may notice that this is our potpourri issue, containing a little bit of everything. Right. Okay. How many of these articles will be split up over a number of pages? Okay, let's look at this first article. Vampires in the Dungeon, or Hey Dave, why is this fog moving with us? Everybody knows somebody called Dave, don't they? I was playing Dungeon Keeper last night, and one of my bile demons, if you hover over the monsters, it gives you a name, and one of them was called Dave. As anybody who has played D&D for a while knows, and any judge who has rolled one of these up knows, vampires are bad news. When properly run, vampires are party stompers of the highest degree. A good vampire has all the tenacity of a DSD. Don't know what DSD is short for. The charm of a wanton, willing damsel, and the craftiness of a Chinese fox. But most of all, vampire... Why Chinese foxes? British foxes are pretty crafty. But most of all, vampires are possessed of high strength and even higher intelligence. So, already they're saying that bad guys need to think. And it wasn't until 82, 83 when Ravenloft came out that they really started introducing the thinking bad guy. Until then, I think there was some assumption that a DM would just add the thinking. And yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. But I mean, in Ravenloft, it gave you suggestions about how to run Strahd and how to make him move around a real sort of strategic enemy. But a charming one all the same. And of course, vampires are supposed to be intelligent, charming. They're supposed to know their domain. They know their weaknesses. They know their strengths, and they're meant to use them. So here, back in 1978, they're saying do that. So maybe when you look at old modules and just see stats, blocks of stats, and think, are these just sat there? Well, no, they're not meant to be just sat there waiting for adventurers. They're meant to be moving around, reacting to what the adventurers do, and anything else that's happening in the dungeon. Try and make it feel alive. Okay, so obviously long article, one page, but I'm not going to read it all. Chainmail revisited, jousting in D&D. Okay, is this bringing chainmail rules into D&D? The jousting system used in the Adventure above was one in TSR's chainmail booklet. Okay. So D&D adds the factors of experience levels and magical equipment which the original system was not designed for. So it's converting a jousting system into D&D. Good. Why not? Why not? I do like that. They use Dexter, Pale and Sinister. Nice and authentic. Sinister. Sinistral. Left-handed. Because people who are left-handed are dangerous. Right. First, it was giant weasels, then giant beetles, giant otters, giant beavers, giant porcupines. Crom, where will it all end? This is the McLean. This art style, yeah. McLean was in the Dungeon Master's Guide. The giant bunny rabbit. Need the holy hand grenade for that, mate. You're in trouble. Dragon Lord review, game review. Okay. Wee warriors. Wee meaning Scottish for small, or wee meaning urine. $4.95. I'm just going to get the review. What do they say about it? Buy the game, play it, add it to your other games, and beware the stoop and clutch of the dragon who has risen above you. They're saying it's good for bolting onto other games. Very good. Faceless Men, Clockwork Monsters. a Dungeons and Dragons adventure above the Starship Warden. Well, Gary Gygax, I don't like mixing sci-fi in my D&D. So there. S3 sucks. Not going to read it. I want to see adventures in the Dragon, but this looks like it's a mixed genre one. It doesn't appeal to me. Dragon Tooth Fantasy Figures presents the war between the Saurian Empire. Oh, it's an advert. See, that is... I think that's a better advert than the Ralpatha ones. Ralpatha. This advert would make me pay more attention than your bad scanned photos. Even if your miniatures are better. Because I don't know if they are. I remember Ralpatha being good, but... So... Oh, it's a story. It's a story by Gygax. Right. And of course, yes, continued on page 27. I was talking to someone in Discord the other night who confirmed that it was the American way of doing things in magazines, splitting things up all over the place. I don't like it. I don't like it. Distracting. A wizard with a difference. D&D variant. Editor's note. The following is recommended as a source of bedevilment to be used by DM on their NPCs. Some of the possibilities here will drive the average group of PCs wild when trying to deal with winning NPCs. Okay. So... Magic user class has been tested by time and found tried and true for many of the players that love to become them, myself included, James M. Ward. The 9 spell levels and the ability to use magical items all make the magic user a very fine character to be. If you can get through the first couple of levels. What I want to suggest is an alternate system in which magic users select areas to work and study in instead of being the normal D&D type magic user. Invoker. Diviner. Illusionist. Abjurer. Conjurer. All those sort of things. I quite liked that when all that was added. I think it adds a lot of flavour. I mean, magic users are good fun anyway, and you can make it flavourful without the mechanics there sort of pushing you down a direction. But having mechanics in place, some people need that in order to guide the decisions. I personally don't, but I understand the temptation, and I do like having mechanics in there to make people feel like these are genuine options. They're always genuine options, but to really make them work. So this is Wizard of Defense, Wizard of Aggression, Wizard of Tenaciousness, Wizard of Detection, Wizard of all things rustic, Wizard of Fire, Wizard of Movement, Wizard of Control. Is this like, in Rollmaster, you've got those various sort of spell lists where spells of all different fields are ranked according to level. You have moving ways, you have surface ways, you have spirit ways, you have fire law, you have ice law, wind law, and all of that. I like it. I like it. Gives a theme to magic. Makes magic feel more authentic and magical. Right. Lots of explanations of the spells. I'm gathering a lot of these are new spells, which they undoubtedly will be. But, of course, part of the fun of being a magic user is creation of new spells. And how many of those classic spells from yesteryear how many of those names stuck with you when you were young? In fact, some of them they're still in the 5th edition books. Mordenkainen, Bigby, just Leomund, that bloody hut, and so on. They were all created by players playing magic users in games. And that's what makes them so great. Tensor's floating disc. Mordenkainen's hound. Tasha's uncontrollable hideous laughter. Good. Bigby and his various hand spells. Bigby was just a frustrated boxer, wasn't he? Ay, ay, ay. Sights and sounds in Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Adding random atmospheric elements to a dungeon. Not wrong with that. Good. Good. Keeps the DM on their toes as well. But what I am going to say is not good. See this first list. Die roll. Dice. Die American. Dice British. Who's got a D21? Put your hand up if you own a D21. I know you can get 21 in various ways by rolling combinations of dice. But that makes no sense. 21. See, 6, 20. Oh no, 6, 20, but 21. Even DCC with all the silly dice doesn't have a D21. D7 though, so you'd roll a D6 to get 1 or 2, add 0, add nothing. 3 or 4, add 7. 5 or 6, add 14, and then roll the D7. And you add them together. That would get 1 to 21. You shouldn't have to do that. I don't think D7s existed back in 1978. Variant Monster Department. Oh my god, it's a Magic Munchkin by Michael. In America you say Kolakowski, don't you? I think the original Polish would be Kolakowski. With a scholar. It's Munchkins, chuckle. Big deal, they're the cute little fellas in Wizard of Oz, right? They've become something else in the D&D world. Munchkins have become a pain in the backside. Players who are Munchkins. The Scholar by Patricia Lapointe. Short bearded men wearing frayed robes of tweed with leather patches at the elbow. They usually smoke foul-smelling pipes whose smoke can be generated in sufficient volume to produce invisibility. The Christian, whatever that might be. The Christian, yes, it's a bit of humour. They're never without their book of eternal existence, their Bible. The Unstoppable Fanatics. Are they street preachers, basically? Right. Okay. That's the sort of humour I find funny, though. It's better than the forced humour. That's genuine mirth. The Monk and Bard in the Dungeon. Here are 2 new pieces of that great game, Dungeon. Oh, I've never played Dungeon. But 2 new classes to play. RockCon 4, October 28th and 29th, Ramada Inn. Rockford, Illinois. There's a Ramada in Birmingham. I was wondering that was Birmingham. It's not been a Ramada for very long. Right, what's this? Fantasy Forge. Has this just scanned really badly on this scan? Must have done, because otherwise it's a complete waste of space. Complete waste of space. Tesseracts. A tesseract, as everyone, or at least readers of Robert A. Heinlein knows, is a four-dimensional cube or hypercube, which means a cube extended in a direction simultaneously perpendicular to all three of its axes, so that each cube of a tesseract shares a common side and four common edges with each cube adjacent to it, and with each cube immediately adjacent to the adjacent cube. Do you follow all of that? It's a fold-out cube, basically. Oh, it's creating a map like a tesseract. See how these loop round? Devilish. Devilish. See where they link? Ideas. Yeah, and see this map here, how it's drawn. It could be a little... You've got to get your mind into 3D to get this to work. But if you can, I'd imagine it would be fun. Alpha Omega advert. Ogre Piece by Piece. That's that Steve Jackson game. I've never played it. Never played it. I know it's been around for a very long time, but it ain't my thing. And look, continued. Tesseracts continued. Why not just put this at the top, okay, here, and have the ogre bit below? And they say us Brits are meant to be unpredictable and eccentric. I can just say probably just being predictably awkward. So maybe not unpredictable, but awkward. Right. See how ogre goes on to the next page there. Anyway, I mean, look at this. Ends there, bit of tesseract, and then back to ogre. It's nonsense. It's absolutely ridiculous. And more ogre. Boredom in the average dungeon, D&D dungeon. There comes a time in the life of every dungeon master when he or she wants to sit down and do a level in their castle and they've used all their ideas up. That's when dice tables come in handy. Like that table further up back in this magazine with all the environmental effects. You just, right, I'm stuck. Okay, roll the dice. Okay, how can I make that work? And that's how to do it. When you get stuck. When do you get the best ideas? I never remember my best. I remember when I've had a really good idea, but I never remember my best ideas. For one reason, my best ideas come to me in those moments just before sleep and when I'm waking up. I have, what's it called? Sleep inertia, which means when I wake up, I don't fully waken and I'm still feeling I know I'm awake, but the dream is still there and I can see it behind my eyelids. It's really quite odd. People pay good money for drugs that do that. And that's when I get a lot of my good ideas, but the problem is I'm not fully awake, and the amount of times I know I've woken and I'm starting to stir and I'm taken into the dream again and I drift off and I'm late for work. And I wake up and think, oh yeah, that was a really, I can't remember that idea. And it is so frustrating. Very, very frustrating. But every morning, sleep inertia. Possibly something to do with not getting to sleep early enough as well. And again, that's an issue with the way my mind works. Blame those alphabet letters. The A, the D, the H and the D, and the A, the S and the D. Bit of both combined makes mind wonky, makes me want to cling on at the end of each day till about 1:30 in the morning. Even no matter how tired I am, I'll be lying there and my mind will be going, hey, I'm not letting you go to sleep yet. I'll get some good ideas then as well. Usually as I'm drifting off to sleep. And I'm finally drifting off. Right. So this is... Anyway, back to this. The solution to the problem is fairly simple. Fill sections or entire levels with areas of history. Yeah, I like a sense of verisimilitude in my dungeons. Yeah, fun houses, mad dungeons can be fun. But I like a bit of verisimilitude. I like reasons for them to be there, and it to be a bit jarring for me if I'm playing unless a game is intended to be very light-hearted, such as my 12 Days of Christmas dungeon that I'm running in OSE. That's intended to be light-hearted. Unless a game is intended to be light-hearted, then I prefer my dungeons to have that bit of gravity. So this sort of thing doesn't fit for me in that sort of game. I'd create an all Egyptian region with Egyptian style dungeons in there, but not just a level of a dungeon being Egyptian. That's not how my mind tends to work. The reason I did the 12 Days of Christmas dungeon, and they were currently only on level 4, and we've gone 11 months into the campaign, so we're still only on the 4th day. The reason I did that was to try and force myself out of my comfort zone, and yeah, I have enjoyed it, but all the time, no. Ancient India, oh look, continued on page 26. Why? And why is it set in the middle of this ogre thing going around the edge of it in a big L shape? Bleh. RuneQuest advert. Here's more boredom. So that's the India bit, the Far East, the future of Machine Age. It's mixing genres. I know a lot of people don't mind it. I know a lot of people like it. So I've got to accept that, but I don't. They're talking about Gen Con. This is an advert for what's... it's not an advert, it's sort of a description of what's coming in Gen Con. But look at that jarring. Suddenly going to a small font. I can barely read that. I'd have to zoom in on this PDF to read that. Imagine that on a normal page. Faceless Men. Oh, this is that story that I wasn't reading. Again. Split up. And look, continued again. I know I'm sounding like a stuck record. But I absolutely hate that. Hate it. If anyone can tell me why they did that in the comments below, then please enlighten me. It doesn't make it better. It really doesn't. Adverts. More Faceless Men. A little bit of colour art. That is the end. Adamanite. Is it because they can't use the term adamantite? Is that what they're worried about? Mithril carbide sold under the trade name of adamanite is an expensive alloy of mithril, carbon, iron and certain other materials known only to very few metal workers. Okay. Just call it adamantite. Messengers of God, angels in Dungeons and Dragons. Ended up calling them divas, didn't they? Like a pop diva. Whitney Houston. I will have all the finest food, and you must cater for my entourage of big bodyguard types. And when I'm going for a run, nobody look at me. Nobody look at me. Nobody look at me. Apart from the fact that I've got some sort of bad disguise and hood up, and I'm flanked by very obvious bodyguards as I'm going for a run. Madonna does that. That different type of diva. But no, the divas were quite good. They were very powerful. Very powerful. But, bringing angels into D&D. Well, you've got demons and devils, so why not angels? Fallen angels and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, interesting. Natural armour for monsters in Monsters. It's a different game. In Monsters. In D&D. In Merp. Hello, my name is Geek. Yog. So it's a different game. Okay. My latest research spell, I call it Feudal Mind. If a fighter fails to save, he rides over his own crossbowman and blindly charges the nearest enemy unit. I call it the French at Agincourt and Cressy. Because that's what happened. It was Cressy, wasn't it? Cressy, where the Genoese crossbowmen left their pavises behind, got massacred by the Welsh longbows, and tried to flee. And the French were charging in the opposite direction and just went thunder over the top of them. And England won. Phineas Fingers. As you know by now, I don't read Phineas Fingers. I do read Wormy, though. What's he drinking there? Hey. Gold? What's he done? Is that... I'm not getting that. Is that gold supposed... Oh, it's raining gold. Ah. I thought he'd spat out gold. Frank, giant's gold. Oh, no, you don't. Ah, it's Wormy up above, dropping the gold. Speak of the devil. Look out, Dudley. Splat. Dudley, you hurt? Nope, I lost my eyebrows, that's all. Exploding goblins. So basically Wormy has landed on a load of goblins that are fighting over the gold, and they've all gone squelch and exploded. Okay. Not the best, Wormy. Warp War. What's this? Game review. Okay, sci-fi. Write for the dragon. Become a household word. Okay. This is Gamma World. It's closer than you think. Take a trip with the dragon through the limitless worlds of your imagination. Is that the last page? I thought there was meant to be a little bit of humour at the end. Is that meant to be the humour? Don't know. Is there something missing? What was that? The last page. Warp War. Oh, Warp War is meant to be in Dragon Mirth. It's a review, isn't it? Is it a review? Look, it's a review. Yeah, so a bit of dodgy editing. Warp War managed to creep into the Dragon Mirth section on the list of contents. Right, let's have a look. Vampires in the Dungeon. Yes, good article. Didn't read it all, but obviously it's the sort of thing that I would want to read. Faceless Men and Clockwork Monsters, not interested. Tesseracts, yeah, good idea. Jousting in D&D, yeah, great. Wizard with a Difference, great. Sights and Sounds in D&D, great. Magic Monsters, the Bizarre Beasties, they were more comedy than anything, but that's fine. Monk and Bard in Dungeon, don't play it, but if you play it, probably useful. Short History of Adamantite, why not? Yeah, add a new metal in, just why not call it Adamantite? Angels in D&D, good. Natural Armor Monsters, I've got no idea if that was any good because I don't play the game. Ogre, didn't play it. Boredom in the Average D&D Dungeon, I like the idea of rolling on tables for random effects. Apart from and I'm going to rant again, the ridiculous practice of scattering articles over multiple sections and not having that nice flow of continuity. I think that's a really good issue of the dungeon. As they said in the editorial at the start, lots and lots of bits and pieces. There were 3 or 4 things in there that I'm not going to be interested in, but it might get me interested in a different game. Okay, sci-fi won't particularly, but other bits and pieces may well do. For example, Monsters. Was it any good? If you know, let me know. And certainly the Dungeon board game, heard good things about it. I've just never picked it up. My wife plays board games. My kids occasionally play board games, but I don't think they play that one. They don't tend to go towards that sort of game. Anyhow, yeah, I think that's a good edition. I think that's a good edition of the Dungeon. The Dragon. A good edition of the Dragon. Very solid. Lots of content. Good variety. Thumbs up. Thumbs up from the Old Geek. Anyway, as you know, I've been the Old Geek. Hope you've enjoyed this little read through, and I'll see you next time.